Good afternoon, Olive, Arlo, and Frank. Fasting Grandpa coming to you from the living room in Jack's Beach. I'm on day 2 of my fast, and in a little bit I'm going to have some bone broth, which is, it's like beef broth, but it's got a little more stuff in it, calcium and stuff like that. So when you do a fast, you could do it on just water, but starting today, I'm doing um, mineral water, and I've also introduced some bone broth in there. And then tomorrow, I'm going to fast for the whole day, Lord willing, and I'll break it on Thursday. So today, we're going to be in Exodus chapter 15, which is a beautiful chapter. We're going to look at something at the end of the chapter that has to do with bitter water. But the biggest part of the chapter that we're going to look at is, I believe it's called the Song of Moses. So they've gotten through the Red Sea. They had this cloud that was in front of them that led them to the Red Sea, but then went behind them to block them from Pharaoh. So Pharaoh couldn't get through and slaughter them before Moses parted the water. And now I've heard that it's as much as 6 million people, but the most of the things that I've read recently and seen on YouTube talk about there being 3 million people. There's a lot of folks. And they went through this ocean, dry, and then all of a sudden, when they're getting close to the other side, God takes this cloud and moves it out of the way. And Pharaoh goes, go get them. Let's go get them and bring them back. We never should have let them go. This is crazy. Now, I don't know why you would do this. His oldest son's dead. The oldest son of everybody in the country's dead, except for these people that are leaving. So they obviously can do something very, very supernatural. But that's the thing with rage. If you have rage, you let it dictate how you act, you're going to do something irrational. So he goes after him. And he's thinking, well, it's dry land, so we're going to go through there, we're going to get them, we're going to kill some probably and capture some and bring them back. They get out there, and God says, yeah, I'm going to mess them up. So he starts having their chariot wheels fall out, and they get stuck in. Now, this was dry ground, but all of a sudden there's some mud there. So they're going like, whoa. And there's a good possibility that this water is a couple 100 feet high, like a 20-story building high. And it's probably pretty wide, so millions of people could get through there. But I'm sure they can see both sides of it, and they're going like, we're going to die. Even the ones that could swim can't swim that good. If you're 200 feet under the water all of a sudden, and it's like swooping in over you, you're not going to get out alive. So then the walls come crashing in. The walls of water come crashing in, and Pharaoh and his army. You know what? I take that back. I don't know if Pharaoh got killed, but his army did. I have to look that up. So anyway, then Moses and the Israelites sang this song to the Lord. They said, I will sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and my song. He has become my salvation. This is my God, and I will praise him. And remember, they really did. They were fine living in a place with all these gods that the Egyptians were worshiping at that point in time. Most people in Egypt today are Muslims. Now there are some Christians left, and there may be. I don't think there's many Jews there, if any. I don't know about other. I don't think there's anybody that still worships, these gods, Nubis and all those people. Well, Amun-Re and all them. But Moses had to go to him and say, look, this is our God. He sent me. And before they departed from the other side of the Red Sea, they were going, why don't you let us just go back, Mo? What's up with this? Just let us go back. We were okay. Yeah, we're slaves, but we're going to die. And so now they're saying, you're my God. This is my God, and I will praise him, my Father's God. So not only has he proved that he's my God, but he proved that he's been my God, essentially from the beginning of time. And I will exalt him. The Lord is a warrior. The Lord is his name. The chariots of Pharaoh and his army he has thrown into the sea, and his chosen officers were drowned in the Red Sea. The depths have covered them. They went down to the bottom like a stone. Your right hand, O Lord, was majestic in power. Your right hand, O Lord, shattered the enemy. In the abundance of your majesty, you have overthrown those who rise up against you. You sent forth your wrath. It consumed them like stubble. By the blast of your nostrils, the waters were piled up. The flowing water stood upright like a heap. And the deep waters were solidified in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will chase, I will overtake, I will divide the spoil. My desire will be satisfied on them. I will draw my sword, my hand will destroy them. But you blew with your breath, and the sea covered them. So this is making God out to be in human form, and it's poetic. He really wasn't blowing with his nostrils or any of that. They sank like lead in the mighty waters. Who is like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who is like you, majestic in holiness, fearful in praises, working wonders? And I don't have much of the Hebrew Bible memorized, even in English, and even less memorized in Hebrew, but I know this. And it's a song called Mika Mocha. And the way that it's sung is not like dun 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 dun. It goes like this. Mika Mocha Bailim Adonai Migan Mocha Neda Bar Kodesh. And I can't remember where it goes from that. There's only like one more line, but it's this: who's like you, O Lord, among the gods? Who's like you? glorified in holiness. Atarutino ase bele ase bele. I did it for a class during my master's thing at University of Miami for an English class. And who is like them? You stretched out your right hand, the earth swallowed them. And by your loyal love you will lead the people whom you have redeemed. You will guide them by your strength to your holy dwelling place. So now it's saying, yeah, you're our God now. And the song is saying, this is what you're going to do in the future. So I don't know if somebody wrote this song down and then they all sang it, or came up with the song and taught it to them and they sang it. I don't think so. I believe that they probably just, as millions of people, just started singing the song. That they just knew the words. Because it's a prophecy. You will lead the people whom you have redeemed. You will guide them by your strength to your holy dwelling place. And that's Jerusalem, what will become Jerusalem. Right now, while they're there, this is a place called Jebus, and the Jebusites are there. But eventually, the children of Israel take over Jerusalem. The nations will hear and tremble. And these are millions of people walking. I mean, it's going to take them 40 years, but they're going to be walking to what they believe is the promised land and what I believe is the promised land. So they're going to be going past nations of people. And these nations are going to know what happened in Egypt. That's one reason why this all happened. So that all these nations would be like, whoa, we don't want this crap happening to us. The nations will hear and tremble. Anguish will seize the inhabitants of Philistia. So the Philistines, who are going to be a great thorn in their side eventually, they're going to be anguished. The chiefs of Edom will be terrified. Trembling will seize the leaders of Moab. And the Edomites were cousins, so were the Moabites, were cousins of these folks. I believe that they were from Lot. I'd have to check that out. The inhabitants of Canaan will shake. Now those folks are not related to Canaanites. Fear and dread will fall on them. By the greatness of your arm, they will be as still as stone until your people pass by, O Lord. So he's allaying their fears, and he's having them sing about it. Like, well, hey, what about these nations that are going to be all over the place that we're going to be walking through the middle of? Because we have a very large footprint, no pun intended. And he's having them sing like, nah, they're going to be quiet. So the people whom you have bought pass by. You will bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, in the place you made for your residence, O Lord, the sanctuary, O Lord, that your hands have established. The Lord will reign forever and ever. So now we're done with this little part here of what he's going to do. For the horses of Pharaoh came with his chariots and his footmen into the sea, and the Lord brought back the waters of the sea on them. But the Israelites walked on dry land in the middle of the sea. Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a hand drum in her hand, and all the women went out after her with hand drums and with dances. Miriam sang in response to them, "Sing to the Lord, for he has triumphed gloriously. The horse and its rider he has thrown into the sea." One of my favorite parts in the Old Testament. So now it's time to move on. Moses led Israel to journey away from the Red Sea. They went out to the wilderness of Shur, walked for 3 days into the wilderness, and found no water. And we talked about this before. A wilderness is a desert. And I believe that that's true, even though the deserts in the world are growing every year. They grow to a certain extent. And they have been for thousands of years. But I don't think that this was what we think of as a wilderness, which is a whole bunch of trees and stuff. We're talking about a desolate desert. Probably beautiful, but desolate. Then they came to Marah, but they were not able to drink the waters of Marah because they were bitter. And that is why its name was Marah. So they gave it a name. It had a name. And because it's not like these people don't know this area at all. Most of them probably have never been there, but Moses has been to this area of the world before. Because we're going to see that they run into Jethro, his father-in-law, eventually. So he's been this way. So they give, this place is called Bitter Water. Well, you go to a place called Bitter Water, probably not going to be able to drink the water. So the people murmured against Moses, saying, "What can we drink?" He, Moses, cried out to the Lord, and the Lord showed him a tree. When Moses threw it into the water became safe to drink. There the Lord made for them a binding ordinance, and there he tested them. He said, "If you will diligently obey the Lord your God and do what is right in his sight and pay attention to his commandments and keep all his statutes, then all the diseases that I brought on the Egyptians I will not bring on you, for I, the Lord, am your healer." Then they came to Elim, where there were 12 wells of water and 70 palm trees, and they camped there by the water. So we're talking about probably an oasis, I would think. And we don't know how long these folks camp usually. We know that it took them 40 years, but I don't think they were moving every day. I think that they would camp for a long time and do what they did. I mean, they lived their lives. But we're going to find out. Now, they have cattle with them. They have livestock. But it would be very hard for them to even live like a Bedouin type existence. There's just so many of them. The Bedouin are these tribes in that part of the world that move from area to area, and they have livestock, and they find places where there's stuff for the livestock to eat, and then sometimes they'll kill a sheep and eat it and stuff like that. But I mean, there's millions of people here. How are they going to eat? Well, we're going to find out next time that the Lord's going to provide something called manna. Until then, peace out.